Greetings, chaps. Today I hope you have your dodging ready, because we're going to talk about the British battle cruisers. And more specifically, the St. Vincent, the captain of the branch. And honestly, the British battle cruisers have been a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, the low tier ones, especially the Queen Mary, they are pretty damn busted. But on the high tier, yeah, I can't say they are bad. They are quite respectfully decent. But I personally struggled a fair bit at the start. On one side, of course, I had the usual test ships getting focused to oblivion, which didn't help. But even with that, I had some troubles balancing my gameplay with the St. Vincent in terms of being aggressive, knowing when to disengage, etc, etc. Because the thing is that these ships are meant to be played at mostly medium to close range, and well, generally speaking, they have fairly decent armor and good mobility to close the distance. Also at the tier 9 and 10 you have the specialized Reaper teams, but at the same time they are fairly easy to focus down, so you truly want to make sure that if you go personal, either you won't be all alone or you have an already planned escape route. Also, another thing that really bothered me throughout, well, at least for the high tier ships, it's the main battery dispersion.
Engine boost
on
activated.
one side, you have the battle cruiser dispersion, but at the same time you have low sigmas, so well, sometimes you get very nice dispersions, and sometimes you get shells just splattering all around the ship you're aiming at, which is pretty damn frustrating if you ask me. But well, in general, it's still relatively consistent. Also, another great strength, since we're talking about the main battery of the British battle cruisers, it's the fact that the AP shells actually have a short fuse, which is incredibly useful when dealing against cruisers, since you will have you will very likely get penetrations and not lower bends, which of course is already appreciable. Obviously, the short fuse AP, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Like, for cruisers, it's incredibly useful, but against some battleships, well, you know, some of them have a somewhat internal citadel, and in that case, well, you will get bends, that's for sure.
Enemy battleship sunk.
But shells will most likely detonate before reaching the citadel.
All stations, proceed and capture that area.
Short fuse AP, it's nice, but it has its own flaws. So, in this game at this point,
Torpedoes to
my
starboard.
main concern, which was the Schlieffen on this side, just decided to, well, suicide them. So that leaves us with completely free room to push on A. And as you can see, I'm still waiting a bit for the rest of my team to catch up. So that's, well, the enemy team won't be just focused on me. They have the Brest to shoot at, they have the Chapayev, there's the Mogami behind me, the North Carolina, etc, etc.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
So yeah, I can
Torpedoes
pretty
direct
safely
front.
push here,
Engine boost deactivated.
and even if I get focused down, there isn't anything that is too crazy. There is Amalfi, I can just stay angled against him, I won't take that much damage. The Charles Martel, well, it's a good H spammer at tier 8, but it's nothing that should scare me too much. And for the Veneto and the North Carolina, I just need to make sure that I'm angled and not born, because as you know, battle cruisers have the downside of having cruiser-like bow and stern, which means that they can be overmatched by, well, pretty much any battleship that you will face this year. There are exceptions, of course, like the Odin or the Brandenburg, but other than that, battleships can and will overmatch your bow and stern. Which is definitely something to keep in mind, because while there is some internal protection inside them, well, the Citadel is still somewhat vulnerable. You can still have AP shells going through the bow and hitting the front Citadel. So yeah, if you are angled against an enemy battleship, never be fully born. Always present the side with the main belt, so that shells have less chance to hit your bow. Here is basically a great example of, actually not that much. I was about to say it's a good example of short fuse AP, but no, when I look at it again, it was just the shells, partially because of me, but the shells just ended up hitting way too high on the ship.
Torpedoes direct front.
They went for the upper belt and not the Citadel itself. So, as you can see, the flank is pretty much clear. That gearing that will be a pain in my side for the entire game. Other than that, the Veneto is pretty much a free kill, and so is the Amalfi. I'm a bit sad because, well, I was hoping to get some actions with the torpedoes, which are incredibly useful for close range situations with the British battle cruisers, especially with those of the Saint Vincent, because each torpedo on the Saint Vincent nearly does 30,000 damage, which is by a fairly long shot the highest torpedo damage in the game. On top of that, you reload fairly fast. Like on the Vincent, it's 45 seconds for a torpedo to reload. And they also have a fairly unique mechanic. So these are underwater torpedoes, which by the way means that they cannot be knocked out or fire unless you get hit with torpedo right on the launchers. But these are fixed launchers. However, when you launch the torpedoes, you still have the possibility to
torpedoes to starboard.
Point at a bearing for them, and right when they will be out of the launcher, they will make big maneuvers to go on that bearing, and then they will just work like standard torpedoes. So you have artificially very good firing angles at the front.
Problem solved, sir.
If you are in any sort of close range battle with a battleship and you're about to get rammed, well, these torpedoes are basically your no-you card. Here I'm spamming the ASW planes because I know that the gearing is still around, and I'm trying to see in case the guy has the anti-air turned on, if he's on my side or if he went on towards the 10 line, but either he had the anti-air turned off
Engine boost deactivated,
or he wasn't anywhere near it. In any case, now we are just making our way towards B and C. Our team on the C side ended up holding pretty well, if you ask me. Like, they kept both the Yamato, Kremlin, and which one was it actually? That was the R battleship, never mind. But yeah, both the Yamato and Kremlin got pretty damn busy, and
dead ahead.
the guys at sea towards the G line, which allows us to really push on B and later on push on C. So yeah, the game went pretty damn well in our favor. So now personally I just decided
Problem
to
solved, sir.
completely burger off from here because the gearing we know where it is. And the last thing I want to do, especially on 26k HP, is to keep pushing in that direction and then get torpedoed to crap. It's especially important because well, the British battlecruisers, they don't have the best anti-torpedo protection, so as much as you can, well, avoid getting hit by torpedoes. That's one of the best advice I can give you with these ships. Here I'm also quickly getting to cover because there is a Yamato coming around, and well, I might have a 40mm deck armor which would be able to bounce it, but the sides are still 32mm, bow and stern they are 25,
Engine boost
and the
activated.
main belt itself is not that great, especially if when you keep in mind that the turtle back
Torpedoes to port.
is also only 32mm thick, so yeah, so we would be able to overmatch it. Also on that salvo,
All
you had
stations
basically
requesting
a
fire
textbook
support.
example of the British battlecruiser dispersion. It was only a single hit with everything else, even though it was a Yamato just spluttering around, but fortunately that single hit was a Citadel. That's at least something. But yeah, now I need to really keep in mind that this Yamato is around, because otherwise I would have been toasted very quickly. Fortunately, he's busy with the North Carolina and the Brighton, so I'm just going to push towards the islands, maybe being able to get the two Ibuki off guard, and maybe in case the Kremlin would have pushed, get a nice broadside. Talking about the Ibuki, well, that one already got blasted by, I think it was the Veneto, and then I just could swiftly finish off the kill, which did help them a bit, as that Ibuki had been a pain in their ass for quite a while. So now we are reaching the fateful moment. I know that the gearing's around. I'm hoping to cheese a bit, like having the time to kill the Yamato and then well the time to reload in case it pops around. But the gearing was a bit too fast, and sadly I had the torpedoes ready. I launched them, but yeah, you still has the time to get the torpedoes off.
Torpedoes direct front.
But at least it's a trade. That's something, and that's a crime.
Victory is in sight.
And yeah, the game is pretty much won, so it's fine. In any case, yeah, the British battlecruisers, a decent line, nothing too crazy, but yeah, you can safely grind for them, I would say. That's all for me, guys.